This tree was cut down. I want to use it as a symbol and as a starting point for conversations regarding our human psychological evolution. This tree was cut down recently. I have to beg your pardon for the sound. Miraculously, my microphone broke while filming this and it's quite windy. I shot a video here about 3 months ago. It's the second video in the series called What is Syntegration? I'll go back and forth to some images from that video. When I think of locations to shoot, sometimes they are very clear to me, but sometimes I have no idea. And I just drive around in my car looking for some, accurate aesthetic point. And this is how I found this tree. It really struck me as very, very unique. The way the trunk was built and the roots. It was as if there's a history and a story in it, almost like a wisdom. And I really loved it. And we can ask, is it sad that it is gone? Of course it is sad. I mean, in the individual level, I've invested energy here, and this image now is in the web. And also it's like a symbol making us think of loss and of trauma maybe. And maybe we can go to the sentence of, when a tree falls in the middle of the forest and nobody is there, does it make a sound? Let's change the word sound with the word emotion. Is a tree falling in a forest should make us sad? I mean, I think the answer is yes and no. Yes, in the way that we look at the beautiful life that was there and now it is gone. And we may even think of the bird's nest crushing down when the tree is falling. And it makes us think of the temporality of our lives. All the trees in the forest will die one day, and it makes us think of our lives. But with that, we know about the cycle of nature. We know that this tree decaying now is also a necessary part of this ecosystem, with everything that is happening in it and around it. And it can make us think of ourselves also being part of an ecosystem. Now, as humans, we are really strong psychologically. We can really endure a lot. And there was always much suffering. I mean, the extreme, of course, people always died, people of all ages. Lightning always struck on clear days. And we have psychological mechanisms to deal with that and to continue on living. We also have our social mechanisms holding and containing us and helping us with that. So we can handle many natural occurrences. But the question I am asking in Syntegration is whether there are less natural phenomena in our lives. Now, there are really two very distinct philosophies, really ideologies regarding this. The first one is that everything that humans are doing is natural, because of course we are a part of nature. Therefore, all of our thoughts, behaviors are all also a part of nature, a part of evolution. There's no direction, there is no good and bad, there's just the survival of the fittest, fit biological mutations and fit ideas. So everything is natural. I completely do not agree with that. I believe that with the evolution of our consciousness, we've came to a new phase in which the resonance of our behaviors and of our thoughts is so vast that a new kind of responsibility and spirituality is needed and is existent, and some kind of ethics and morality exists. Not everything is relative. Now, I'm not saying that good and bad are absolutes. We can debate on that forever. But I am saying that there is some relative morality, a good enough ethics that we are agreeing in every moment in time and editing in a continuous present in our lives. I can give you an example for that. Let's take some extreme fantasy in which we are all living in a world with no trees. Let's say we have decided as a humanity to cut down all the trees in the world. We are taking all the chainsaws we are building new factories for chainsaws, we're building huge vehicles with big wheels and chainsaw arms to go through the rainforests, and we are making a celebration out of it. You know, we are giving trophies for children for rooting out young trees. How much time will it take us to take down all the trees in the world? A year, 2 years, and we'll succeed in doing that. So really try to imagine for a minute a world with no trees. There'll be a small problem with oxygen and photosynthesis, but let's give our scientists and corporates a small tax and they'll deal with that. You know, they'll build like huge plastic tubes in the middle of the oceans with algae, and that will create oxygen. Don't bother yourself with oxygen. Imagine a world with no trees. I can really imagine that. Now, I want you to understand that this potentiality of an extreme fantasy, of this extreme imagination, was not always possible for us in our evolution. There were points, not in the very distant past, where this was not possible. So we have evolved in our psychological way of thinking, in the psychological structures we have within ourselves. And our fantasy and our imagination was one of them. And the inner conflicts that arose with that changed and evolved all the time. Now, some humans in the past tried to fulfill these new fantasies, and some of them succeeded. I believe that much of the suffering, much of the problems in today's world are related to the fulfillment of these extreme, out of measure, human psychological fantasies. And I believe that in order to make a deep change in our lives, as individuals and as a collective, we must understand these processes, approach them, and make changes in them, control them, in the present and in the future. So this is what I'll be addressing in future conversations about our human psychological evolution. And today we'll end here. And it's a bit weird to say this near this cut down tree, but if you've reached this point, please make sure to press like and subscribe and share this or comment and help these ideas build ground. So I'll see you next time.